The UAE is not just sunshine, skyscrapers and 0% taxes. It is a digital, closed and very precisely organized country, built not for the whole world, but for those who know how to think systematically. If you want to enter the UAE with a business, franchise project or even just as an investor, don't look at the facade, look at the architecture. Hello everyone, my name is Anton Vasilenko. I'm 32 years old. Together with my team, I co-founded the international network of cyberclubs called Gamers and built an ecosystem of 3 more brands which operates in 130 cities around the world. We have more than 450 locations and hundreds of thousands of clients. I'm not here to talk about inspiration. I'm here to talk about strategy, structure and real cases. On this channel, you'll learn how to start a business from scratch, scale it through franchising and maintain control. No motivation, no fluff. Only experience that works in practice. I'll start with how business is set up in the United Arab Emirates. License, jurisdiction, zone. The first mistake people make is thinking they can just register as a sole proprietor, rent an office, and they're good to go. No. In the United Arab Emirates, business is built on a 3-layer model. The first layer is the jurisdiction where you legally exist. In the UAE, there's no such thing as just opening a company. First, you have to choose a jurisdiction. In other words, which legal system your business will operate under. This is a set of rules, taxes, and opportunities. There are 3 of them, and each has its own implications for how you can operate, sell, and interact with the government. The first is the mainland, or the continental zone. You register your company through the Department of Economic Development, or DED, of one of the Emirates, for example, DED Dubai. What does this give you? You can directly sell goods and services within the United Arab Emirates. You can work with government entities, tenders, and retail. There are no restrictions on the local market, but here you need a physical office and an actual presence. And of course, expenses for licenses, rent, and other services are higher here. Sometimes a local partner or agent is required. For example, you open a cleaning company or a delivery service in Dubai, and this is a mainland jurisdiction. The second is a free zone, that is a free economic zone. What is that? It's one of more than 40 economic zones, each with its own regulator. You register your business within the zone, not directly in the Emirates. In the United Arab Emirates, there is no single business regulator, like the Federal Tax Service in Russia, for example. Instead, each free economic zone is like a mini-state within the state, with its own rules, licenses, visa procedures, and corporate governance. There are actually more than 40 such zones in the country, and each has its own charter, its own types of licenses, its own registration process, its own fees, and its own regulator. Usually, this is an authority or a consul. A free zone offers 100% ownership of the business without a local partner, simplified licensing rules, the ability to work for export, online, or remotely. But there are also limitations. You cannot sell directly within the United Arab Emirates unless you sign a distributor contract or agency agreement with a mainland company. For example, you want to open a design studio, IT service, creative agency, or gaming company that operates globally in a free zone. And that's your choice. By the way, True Gamers Dubai is registered in all 3 jurisdictions because we have both information technology and the real offline presence, as well as other services that are part of the holding structure. The third option is offshore. When I say offshore in the context of the United Arab Emirates, it doesn't mean hiding money or evading taxes. It is a legal, transparent structural tool. If you know how to use it properly, companies that do not operate within the United Arab Emirates use it as holding structures for owning assets, managing IP, and protecting capital. But here, you cannot have an office, staff, employees, or work with clients in the United Arab Emirates. For example, you have a network of studios in Europe and an IT team in Asia. Do you want all these businesses to pay royalties for using a single brand and IP? At the same time, you want the revenue from this to flow into a safe, neutral jurisdiction. You set up in the Ras Al Khaimah offshore zone and register your trademark, product copyrights, and license agreement there. Now, each of your companies in Europe, the CIS, and Asia pays a licensing fee to the offshore entity. This is legal. It reduces taxation in the operating jurisdictions. And you centralize the management of rights in the United Arab Emirates. All 3 of these points relate to the first word jurisdiction. Next comes the second layer, the zone, and there are more than 40 of them. One is dedicated to trade, investment, and distribution. Another is for tech or hardware. A third is for creative industries. A fourth is for finance, venture capital, or crypto. A fifth is for gaming, creative work, streaming, and so on. Each zone has its own laws, its own rules, its own regulations. The third layer is the license. The United Arab Emirates is not a country where one license covers everything. Here, a business is not allowed to start operating until its exact activity is defined and the appropriate license is chosen. There is no such thing as a general business license. You must clearly specify what you do. For example, you want to open a cyber club where there are PCs, tournaments are held, people come and play, there is streaming, a cafe, and merchandise. So based on this, you choose the appropriate license. Mistake number one is to get a commercial license. You won't be allowed to launch because this isn't trading. Mistake number two is to get a professional license. That won't work either. That's only for services without any physical activity. You need an entertainment digital activity license or a media plus event combination, sometimes paired with food and beverage. If you get the wrong license, you'll have to cancel it and pay again for a new one. You'll need to change the legal entity, renegotiate the lease, and redo the paperwork. And that's quite a complicated and lengthy process. It means losing a month to a month and a half, plus an extra 20 or even 40,000 dirhams. The choice of license affects not only whether you can start, but also the type of taxation. Mandatory audits, reporting, the number of permitted business activities, office requirements, whether real or virtual of these can vary, the ability to obtain a residency visa for yourself and your employees. Next, in the United Arab Emirates, you can own a business 100%, but not always. Just a few years ago, there was a strict rule in the United Arab Emirates. A foreign entrepreneur could not own a business 100%. A local partner was required holding 51% of the shares. This applied to mainland companies, meaning those that work directly with the Emirates market. Legally, your business was not yours, even if you invested 100% of the funds. That's how it was. But since 2021, new rules on 100% foreign ownership have come into effect in the UAE. Now, in most sectors and businesses, you can be the sole owner of the company. No local sponsor, no partnership agreement, no nominee. These are revolutionary changes that have made the UAE super attractive for foreign entrepreneurs. But it's important. There are two types of restrictions. The first is by industry, the business sector. Some sensitive sectors still require a UAE resident to hold a share. Medicine and pharmaceuticals, legal services, security and safety, telecommunications, the military and strategic sector. For example, if you want to open a law firm on the mainland, you need a partner who is a citizen of the United Arab Emirates. It's also important to understand that different zones and emirates may have different rules. Some free zones and special territories are not subject to the general federal level relaxations. For example, Dubai Healthcare City requires a local partner for certain types of activities. Abu Dhabi Agricultural Zone. Similarly, if you work in food security, you can definitely own 100% of the business if you open a company in a free zone in areas such as digital, gaming, consulting, marketing, design, education, media, IT, export, and software development. For example, True Gamers is also registered in a free zone. The license is for digital activity plus event management. The share is 100% foreign ownership. No local sponsors, no intermediaries, full control. Before registering, do a double check with a lawyer and an agent or a professional specialist. Ownership is not just a matter of paperwork, it's a matter of strategy and control. It's also important to understand that the United Arab Emirates will not be your partner the way Saudi Arabia or Kazakhstan would be. The United Arab Emirates is a service-oriented country, not a patron state. Here, you won't get subsidies for a franchise, they won't build a location for you, and you won't be placed in an accelerator, but you will get frictionless infrastructure, a safe jurisdiction, residency, and stability. In return, you must not interfere, break the rules, or try to take over the business. Next, regarding taxes. In 2023, the Emirates introduced a corporate tax of 9% if your profit exceeds 375,000 dirhams per year. Even so, this is still one of the most lenient tax regimes in the world. But it's not an offshore. You need to understand that keeping accounting records here is mandatory. There are fines for late submission of reports. All companies are subject to audit starting from 2024. If income is concealed, accounts are automatically blocked. Banks are increasingly strict in requesting documents your personal information, visa, address, resume, business structure, sources of income, contracts, accounts, and invoices. In addition to the bureaucratic aspects of building a business in the Emirates, you also need an understanding of and respect for the business culture. Here, everything works if you're precise, formal, and respectful of the rules. In Russia, you might say, let's go for a friend. In the UAE, if you're not on the list of accredited contractors, you simply don't exist. Here, politeness is the norm, But behind it lies discipline, structure, and zero tolerance for laziness, delays, or underpayments. So what do the United Arab Emirates really offer you? Easy access to residency and visa. A platform to enter the GCC, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar. Access to investors from the Emirates, India, or Asia. One of the best brands in the world. Made in Dubai. A place where the state doesn't fall apart when the course changes. You are surrounded by a global community tech, gaming, cultural. But before entering the Emirates, you need to know you'll be paying a high price. Rent, lawyers, licenses. You won't be able to fix things later. Here, everything must work the first time. Without a local lawyer, you won't understand 40% of the documents. If you don't run your business digitally, you won't make it. If you don't like structure, don't enter. So, in the United Arab Emirates, it's not about minimizing taxes, it's about architecturally building your business within one of the strictest and most honest systems in the world. If you're ready for precision, pace, and responsibility, you'll get everything you need to grow. If not, it's better not to enter. The United Arab Emirates does not forgive uncertainty. I'm Anton Vasilenko. If you want to build a business in the United Arab Emirates, don't start with a visa, start with architecture and a rational approach to business, the system, the model, and an understanding of why you are needed in this country. And subscribe to this channel to learn even more about building a business. Bye.